MPI Paranormal Radio. The truth is to be found. An internet radio show dedicated to the open discussion of different paranormal topics by military paranormal investigations. Our aspiration is to research and discover the possibilities of scientific reasons to a field of study which many do not believe to be supported by facts. Military Paranormal Investigations is not affiliated to any branch of the military. We are a science-based paranormal research organization of active duty and retired military members, dependents, and or friends located out of Wichita Falls, Texas. Recorded or live, broadcasting with Shoutcast on multiple websites to get the maximum reach. Now, here are your hosts, members of the MPI team.
Good evening and welcome to Military Paranormal Investigations Radio. I'm Mike.
I'm Destiny.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Rob.
Welcome to tonight's show. As usual, I want to stress that we are not affiliated to any branch of the military.
Right, we're just a bunch of retired old farts, right? From the military.
Speak for yourselves.
You guys can visit us by going to Podbean. That's where we mainly host our things. So you can catch us on any podcasting app out there. But Podbean is where we host everything. We've got a couple new followers out there.
Yeah, we got 3 new followers since our last time. If I'm not mistaken, we got the latest one is Katie's Baby 91, and then I believe it's like Chasen J, CHASCNJ, and then John Cook 642.
And that being said, you can always contact us at radioshow@militaryparanormal.com. Make sure you contact us with any comments, suggestions, or if you want to tell your story or anything as far as paranormal related goes, you can always send us a message there.
You can find us on our new website at www.militaryparanormal.com.
Yeah, we're reworking the website right now. We no longer have an intro. Now it's just basically where our blogs are, and you can find all our podcasts. It's a little bit easier to kind of like transition into. But we still have our old website. There's a link on there that says main. It'll bring it back to our old website, so you can go check that out as well.
Okay.
You can contact us on Facebook, military at facebook.com/military paranormal, one word. You can search for us as well and find us.
You can find us on Twitter also, MPI_paranormal.
And our YouTube, all one word again, Military Paranormal. Now on YouTube, if you put in the Military Paranormal, they're going to automatically put a blank space in there. But just go ahead and squeeze it back together and you'll be fine. You'll be able to find us.
Make sure you like and subscribe. We didn't do a lot to our YouTube page for a while because we weren't really producing anything. But now that we've gotten our ugly mugs up on here, if you guys will get to 100 subscribers, we can get our own URL.
We're sitting in 24 still. And for those of you that noticed, we have Destiny back again. She's kind of like going to be our producer now. So
much pressure.
So, with that said, what is tonight's topic of the show going to be?
Well, we always said that we wanted to do the Halloween, and seeing as how Halloween is right around the corner,
Right.
I say we do the origins of Halloween and see how that happens.
Okay. We're also going to look at Halloween coming to America, look at some Halloween traditions, and finally some of the superstitions with Halloween.
Now, just probably some of the old superstitions that they followed during Halloween, not so much the stuff. Because when I was doing the research on this and everything, I found a lot of superstitions that they don't follow anymore. And I had no clue it had anything to do with Halloween. And doing the research on this one, I look at Halloween a lot different.
Well, I'm glad you did research because, as much as into the paranormal as I am, I've never really just looked at a whole bunch of the Halloween background.
Yeah, me either.
So,
it was interesting. I found it quite interesting on how it all started off. Kind of like, 2,000 years ago, it was started off with the Selks that lived that long ago. It's in an area that's now Ireland and northern France and England. The UK started off back then.
It actually was celebrated on November 1st. I did read that instead of October 31st. But it marked the end of summer in the harvest and the beginning of a dark, cold winter. That time of year was actually associated with death. I do know that.
Well, yeah, because look at how cold it was.
Yeah, and the hardships on that. They didn't have space heaters and
heck no
central heating in there.
I couldn't have made it back then. I'll tell you that. I know Destiny couldn't have. She was complaining.
Bro, I'm cold right now.
See.
But yeah, on October 31st, they celebrated Samhain. It's actually spelled Samhain,
Right.
but it's pronounced.
They did it on
Samhain.
the night of October 31st because I believe November 1st is where they celebrated their new year, bringing in a new harvest. They got done with the summer. Now it's time for winter, like you were talking about. So I know with the October 31st, they believe the worlds of the living and the dead were like kind of blurred, so they can the dead could like cross over to the living side. And I know it caused a lot of trouble, and they were worried about the crops that they just harvested. So it was more along that side. So they had all their priests out there. I think they called them druids.
Druids.
That some believed that they could predict the future, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they believed that because the veil between the living and the dead was so thin at this time period that it allowed them to see what was going to happen more easily because they had that kind of spiritual connection more easily. So they relied on these predictions to tell them whether or not they were going to make it through the coming winters, and it kind of like gave them the hope to really push through and survive through this cold, harsh time, especially since they're people that lived off the land and basically their land was dying around them as the season came. It's
Right.
awful.
Because that's all they were doing was harvesting all the crops so they could last through the winter. Because back up there, I've seen Game of Thrones. It was cold. Okay, it was cold up there.
Haven't watched that show yet.
Didn't they set big bonfires and stuff?
Yeah,
too?
they sure did. The priests, the druids, would set these big bonfires.
They were sacred bonfires.
Yeah, because they would burn. They would make sacrifices of the animals they had there, and they would even burn some of the crops so that they could.
Offer them to the deities.
Right, is what they were doing.
That's when they actually started dressing up. They would dress up in animal skins, animal heads and animal skins.
And when they kind of tell each other the future.
Yep.
I mean,
and they would relight their hearth fires with the fire from the sacred fire.
okay.
And then they would wear the costumes, and they believed that by doing that, it would protect them from the harshness of the winter that was coming up.
And then I know the Roman Empire came in, just like it always.
Yeah.
Back then, they came all over the place. I mean, it was what, 43 AD is when the Romans started happening. They were conquering the majority of the.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the New World back then. I mean, they took over everything, Northern Africa and all the way up into.
Heck yeah, the Romans knew how to rule. They ruled for over 400 years over that territory, if I'm not mistaken. And I know with the Romans coming in, they had their own belief system and stuff because it was more of a religious thing to where the Romans would bring in Christianity. And I know that they tried to hold their own festivals because how do we say that? Samhain?
I think it's Samhain.
Samhain?
Samhain.
Because I know the festival of the Samhain they held every year, and it was strictly for the dead and the harvest and everything. And then the Romans came in and they wanted to put in their own festivals that they had around the time to try and get away from that one. The passing of the dead, I think that's I forget.
That was Feralia.
Feralia, yeah, something like that.
And then they combined it with a second day that was to honor Pomona, which was the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. But they think that that's where the tradition of bobbing for apples come from, because her symbol was the apple.
The apple.
Okay.
And I think that probably explains that.
But I know with the after the Romans and everything, I know we started having the churches coming in. Then we had Pope Boniface IV in 600 AD. On May 13th, he dedicated the Pantheon in Rome, and that thing is still standing today. I don't know if anyone has done any research on the Pantheon. That's one of the few remaining solid structures in Rome right now, and it's still there. And
I'm so sorry.
hurting somebody's ears out there, huh, Des?
Hurt my finger.
And didn't he turn it into a Christian church?
Yeah, he sure did. I believe it was the Saint Mary of
Martyrs.
Martyrs. Okay. And then I know they were doing an honor for all Christians, martyrs, their witness. It's basically one who deliberately makes sacrifice or suffers greatly in order to advance a cause or a strong belief that they might have would be a martyr. And then...
Well, the Catholic Feast of All Martyrs Day was established in the Western Church.
Right. Yeah, sure was. And then you had Pope Gregory that came up, 731 to 741, to where he expanded the festival that they were having. And they, instead of just having it for martyrs, they included all saints. And with the saints, they had... some people have a misunderstanding between saints and martyrs, to where martyrs are pretty much people that are still living. They just have to have that strong sacrifice, to where a saint is someone that died. And the only way you can get a sainthood is you have to be nominated by the church in order to do that. And it's someone that suffered greatly as well, but it all depends on the church doing that. And I know Pope Gregory moved the observance from May 13th to November 1st. And we all know what November 1st is now, right? That's the All Saints Day.
My kind of problem with this is, here these Celtics are, practicing their spirituality, being these people that are just doing what they do, and then here comes the Romans destroying everything and being like, hey, you got to believe in what we believe in now.
Well, it wasn't so much they were destroying it.
They conquered them.
Yeah, conquered, yes.
And then said, hey, believe what we believe. Oh, and by the way, we're going to take your belief system and then add our own twist onto it, because that makes us feel better about it. That we're kind of giving you a say, but like not really, because you still have to believe what we're telling you to believe because we conquered you. They're just, they're straight up awful people. That's exactly what they were.
But they knew
They
how to build.
blended the two, and then to
Right.
like November 2nd, they created All Souls Day.
Well, they were trying to get away from, because the Celts were more of a paganism, so they were trying to get away from that and bring it more towards a Christianity. So they came up with November 2nd.
But that wasn't their place to do it.
Well, if it's their land,
It
they
wasn't
rule
their
it.
land to begin with. That's
No,
the problem.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't their land to begin with.
But
It was-
regardless, I mean, Christianity should not be pushed on somebody else's throat. The whole basis of it is not, hey, take our belief system and shove it down somebody else's throat so far that they have to say that they believe in it.
Well, it wasn't so much back then. It wasn't so much of that trying to force it on them. It was more of a, okay, this is our way of living. You are under our rule now, so this is how to. Instead of having an uprising, they wanted to complete control. They knew how to rule over
think they're
400 years.
Terrible people.
Well, history has a way of.
And they got their karma because they fell. So
But yeah, Mike, like you were talking about, they did try and combine the two, because they moved us to November 1st, and then by I think the 9th century, the influence had spread within the Celts land, like because
it's not the Celts land anymore. Remember, it's the Roman Empire.
It was the Roman Empire.
Because they're douchebags.
Boy, she has an opinion, doesn't she?
I am so
Yeah.
opinionated about this right now. Like, they're so awful.
And we were talking about Halloween. This is how Halloween came about.
Talking about how oppressed the Celtics were, okay?
Yes, they were. They were very oppressed, which is, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have Halloween now, right?
I would give up Halloween if their civilization was not oppressed the way it was.
True.
Which is saying a lot because Halloween's my favorite holiday, guys.
But yeah, in 1000 AD, that's when they moved it to November 2nd and created All Souls Day.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where they blended the two to try to make it more of a church sanctioned.
Right, because
Holiday.
All Souls Day was more of a day to the dead.
They it was celebrated similarly to Samhain with big bonfires, parades, and then they dressed up with costumes as saints, angels, and devils.
So it was different than the animals. So instead of the Celts where they had all the animals and everything, now it's the angels and devils.
It says angels, devils, and saints.
Well, the Celts were also more like spiritually in tune. So basically, their whole belief system was that they were living off the land and that they were in tune with nature. And so it was more about what they had in their everyday lives. Whereas when Christianity and other religions were introduced into it, it became more about, well, these are what are in our religion with the angels and the devils and the saints. And that's why it became more influenced by that.
And then November 1st became All Saints Day, right?
Yeah.
They started, also called what?
All Hallows Eve. Oh, wait, no, that was...
No,
That
All
was the-
Hallows.
Yeah, All
It's
Hallows
the
Eve.
31st.
Right.
All Hallowsmas. All Hallows or All Hallowsmas,
Yeah.
meaning All Saints Day. And then the night before
which is the
Samhain
traditional night for Samhain.
Right.
began
festival.
to be called All Hallows Eve and eventually Halloween.
Right. Do you guys happen to know if there are any countries that don't celebrate Halloween?
Well, I know they don't celebrate it like we do.
I think Halloween now is. I don't even think our friends in the UK celebrate Halloween the same way. I think it's mostly Americanized now.
Yeah, it's completely Americanized
Yeah.
now, the way that it was.
I did read from the history.com place where we had pulled up some of these facts, but that a quarter of all candy in
Yeah,
America is sold during Halloween season.
yeah.
Wow.
So I had somebody in my chair the other day that was from Scandinavia, and I was asking about Halloween, and he said in Scandinavia it's completely uncommon to see people celebrating Halloween. Like, they'll have people from America go out and they'll like have dive bars that are kind of decorated a little bit.
Right.
But as far as the place itself and the people that are native to that place, they don't celebrate it whatsoever the same way that we do.
Okay.
Well, I know most people don't celebrate it like we do, but
You know
what about the festivals? Do they still hold festivals for the harvest and the dead?
He didn't say anything about that. He just said like people don't really dress up and they don't really go to like trick or treating or anything like we do. I mean, like they do stuff, but it's not like how we do. It's not mainstream like us.
I think we've had up to like 30 countries listening to us. Maybe we should, if the listeners
Oh, there you
would
go.
send us
That would be good.
how
Yeah.
they celebrate in different countries, how they celebrate Halloween.
Yeah, so if you definitely celebrate Halloween or celebrate it differently,
Or don't celebrate it
or
at all.
don't celebrate it, or call it something different, definitely contact us by sending us an email at radioshow@militaryparanormal.com, and we'll definitely get your comments on there.
And if there's anybody in there that's not celebrating Halloween, like for religious purposes, I would personally, I don't know about y'all, but I would personally love to understand why you don't. Because I've always been curious about that. Some people tell me they don't celebrate it for religious purposes, but they never really explain. And I'm
And see,
just curious
before I
person.
started doing the research, I thought for the religious purposes is because Halloween was associated with witches and devils and all that, but
It's because
Actually,
it's a pagan
it wasn't
holiday.
even-
exactly,
yeah, it
it
wasn't
had
the-
nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it just had to do with the dead.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with what I thought Halloween was.
It wasn't
but-
evil.
No, it had nothing to do with evil. Nothing with evil.
Well, it's like a lot of Christians don't celebrate Christmas because it's a pagan holiday. It's not a Christian holiday.
Right.
And so a lot of people don't observe it because they don't believe that it fits in with their belief systems.
So it could be that people's just not celebrating Halloween because it doesn't fit in their belief system. But
Or because whatever belief system they were raised in maybe said in some way that it was wrong if they celebrated it. Because I've heard some people say that too.
well, I was just wondering because of where the Celts land was, Ireland, and then northern France and all the UK, the northern Europe. I figured they would celebrate still something like
I'm sure
the
they have,
harvest
like,
or
harvest
something.
festivals.
Let's see. Maybe I should have been more prepared.
I'm so sorry.
Why?
While we talk in a minute, I'll research it and see if they
Okay.
celebrate it in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Wait, I can show you who celebrates this still. Hold on.
See, you already looked that up, huh?
I so looked this up. So I found this great article.
Where'd you
And-
find it at?
Okay, so it was at circlesanctuary.org, and Selena Fox wrote it. And she was writing from firsthand experience, and I want to kind of pull up the article because I want to talk about what she was saying, but basically she was saying that a lot of places still celebrate it today. They just celebrate it differently depending on where they live.
Can I cut you off for just a second while you pull that up?
Yeah.
This is from timeanddate.com. Halloween celebrations in the United Kingdom include parties where guests are often expected to arrive in costume to reflect the day's theme. Other people gather together to watch horror films, either at home or at cinema. Some children go trick-or-treating. That means they dress up and go to people. It sounds to me
Like,
it's pretty much the same as in the U.S.
yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. It looks like because that's pretty much how Halloween was started. All Hallows Eve with November 1st, All Saints Day, and then the night before Saints Day is becoming All Hallows Eve. And all it has to do with the festivals and celebrating the dead and the harvest and everything. That's how Halloween was originally started until it comes to America.
You
Yeah.
ruin everything.
We do ruin everything, don't we? We take a culture and then we twist it around to our own likings.
The big melting pot.
Exactly, the melting pot. Everybody came around that time. Everybody came to America around that time. So, I mean, we had the Halloween celebrations. When we got the new colony here, Halloween really wasn't celebrated that much up north. It was more towards it was more common in Maryland and the southern colonies, but up in the northern colonies they really didn't do much of anything up there.
Probably to do with religion.
Could be. But I know with the beliefs and the customs between all, like Mike was talking about, all the different melting pots, we kind of put our own twist on there. And then with the colonies, we had the American Indians, and the American Indians would put their twist on it as well.
You know why we had to put our own twist on it? Because we're too basic to think of it ourselves. We had to steal it from other cultures and then be like, oh, but it's a little different,
It's
so
not
it's
so
ours.
much that we stole it from other cultures
We
because
stole it.
no, because we came from other cultures.
Right.
Around that time, we came, like Mike was saying, we came from a big melting pot. We came from other cultures, so each one had their own different things to do, like play parties and celebrate the harvest and stuff.
It says that our first celebrations included play parties, public events held to celebrate the harvest, where they would share stories of the dead, tell fortunes, dance, and song.
So it's pretty much still like the Festival of the Samhain.
It says by middle 19th century, annual autumn festivals festivities were common, but Halloween was not yet celebrated everywhere in the country.
So we're still celebrating the coming of the cold and the winter and everything.
And the harvest.
And the harvest. So everything's still the same from us bringing it over to Americas.
This all sounds so much like Thanksgiving.
Well, it's around November, so October, November, because that's what we would do. We would get the harvest in, and then, well, we'd
Hope
probably
it
have
didn't
to.
freeze.
We would probably have to look up the origin of Thanksgiving as well. But I mean, even though
I think
that's coming
everybody
up soon,
knows that from
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna. And am I cutting you off? Or are you waiting to tell your story?
I'm reading it.
It says the second half of the night. I'm going to read this because I think this is pretty good. In the second half of the 19th century, America was flooded with new immigrants. Those new immigrants, especially the millions of Irish fleeing the Ireland's potato famine of 1846, and that's
Right.
where the Celtic traditions
Yep.
were common, helped to popularize the celebration of Halloween nationally. Taking from Irish and English traditions, Americans began to dress up in costumes and go to house asking for food or money.
Which is where trick or treating
A
came from.
practice that eventually came known today as trick or treat.
And then we also had the young women that believed that they could divine the name of the appearance or their future husband by doing tricks, yarns, or taking apple peelings and throwing them over. And if it kind of like had initials or something of all their suitors, they would know which one that was. Or
There was another one about that. They would throw hazelnuts in
hazelnuts
the fire.
in the fire. Yeah, they would put the names on the hazelnuts on the
of
fire
all their potential suitors and throw them in the fire.
there. And the one that went to ash was the potential suitor.
That seems like a terrible way to pick a husband. What if he's a bad person?
And see that I know later on in the show when we get to the second half, we're talking about superstitions. That's one of the superstitions
I
that
have
they
a
don't
cool
practice
one to
no
bring
more.
up then.
They don't practice that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But like what you were talking about, Mike, the Irish came. So now we're talking about a whole nother person putting in the twist. And then we had, by the late 1800s, now we're starting to mold Halloween, if you would, into more of a holiday.
It was more about community and get-togethers
Right.
than about ghosts and witchcraft.
Right, because just like Des was talking about with the Thanksgiving, it sounds like Thanksgiving where everyone's getting together, thankful for everything that's going on. They're having a big feast. So we just had the harvest. It would probably take that long if we're having the harvest and closing everything down around November 1st. Then the big harvest that we got, we burned some of it in the fires, but then the rest of it is when we start, having that tradition of Thanksgiving.
Fun fact here, though. So, how are we saying it? Samhain? Okay, the Samhain festival in the northern hemisphere is celebrated more towards like the end of October, early November.
Right.
However, in the southern hemisphere, it's actually celebrated in late April and early May because that's when the middle of their autumn is.
Right, because of the equator and everything, the tilting of the earth.
I
So
think
yeah,
that's so cool.
they would have to celebrate it differently then.
It says that at the end of the 1800s that parents were encouraged by newspapers and community leaders to take anything frightening or grotesque out of Halloween costumes. I know later on in the 50s, have you ever seen those Facebook posts where it shows like costumes from the 50s.
Oh yeah.
And they're just like the most evil looking thing.
Yeah,
you
and
ever
I
saw.
know
And they're all clowns.
back then in the 1800s, it wasn't just for kids. Adults
Yeah.
dressed up too. It was mostly for adults, and then they took their kids with them.
Y'all don't dress up?
I think that should come
Well,
back
yeah,
because I am all about dressing up.
I dressed up last year. She even did my
Oh
makeup.
my god. So last year he was Iron Man and I had to spend 30 minutes trying to shave his beard correctly.
I had the whole Tony Stark beard going, you know.
You have to
with
put
the V.
pictures up now, by the way.
Yeah, insert
yeah.
a picture right up in here in this area.
Yeah, insert picture. No,
Do
that
it.
ain't-
No,
that ain't gonna
seriously,
happen. That ain't
please
gonna
do.
But see, now this year I'm going to do it again because see, I had an old mask that really wasn't that great, so that's why I went as Tony Stark because the mask was, I'll say, you know, it was crap. So I couldn't wear a mask, so that's why she did the Tony Stark look. But this year I'm going to get a mask that has the whole magnetic thing with the eyes that light up, the whole Iron Man thing. Because thanks to Best Buy, you know, we
I
sell
give
that
it
stuff.
10 minutes. He's going to take it off. Don't let him lie to y'all. He'll leave it on for pictures and be like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Well, that's Halloween. Come on.
No, it's not.
So like I said, when it was both for kids and adults back then.
And that's when it lost its superstitious and religious overtones.
Yep.
When it was
The late 1800s.
1800s.
And then we get into the 1900s and 1930s, and it starts becoming more of a community-based thing. Everyone would gather and have kind of like we have on base, where the kids, we have the trunk or treat, or what do they call it on
Yeah,
base? now?
trunk or treat.
Trunk or treat, where everyone just comes from the community and passes out candy and stuff. But they didn't have the candy back then to pass out to the kids because it wasn't for that. It was just a parade and some downtown wide parties that featured a bunch of entertainment. And then they had the trick-or-treating like you would talk about, where they would go look for food and stuff, or money, or ale, or...
I found a cat.
Yeah, it found me. It kind of scared me. Probably saw me look down.
What touched my leg?
Well, yeah, in the 20s and 30s, trick or treating was brought back again because of the community efforts.
But
to
when
try
they
to-
started doing the tricking, that's when vandalism started happening. So a lot of vandalism. Back then we were talking about what the Depression and all that.
The Roaring 20s and then the Depression.
Yeah,
So people were like
exactly.
super excited and happy, and then they were like, sorry, you don't have any money anymore.
Right. So that's why it was more of a community thing to celebrate with the kids and everything. But then they always had the vandalism, so they kind of got away from that. And then the 1950s happened, and everyone knows what happened in the 50s, right? Baby boom.
boomers,
Baby boomers.
My
Yeah.
grandparents happened in the 50s.
So that's when all different town leaders and everything, they started getting the vandalism under control. But it involved more towards a holiday directed more towards younger kids because of the baby boom.
Right, that's when, because trick or treating was considered a cheap way for everybody to partake and
Exactly.
have a little
'cause-
fun.
Right, and then it went. That's where the parties went more from like downtown and at your civic centers to more at your homes.
Okay. And I know it was like trick or treating came back
Right.
to where it was, like you were saying, an inexpensive way for the communities to do that, and it prevented tricks by providing small treats. Give the kids candy.
You can
Hey.
give me candy all you want.
Yeah.
I'll take all the
And-
candy.
Exactly.
And now, if we look at today, the interesting thing, one of the things that was written is Americans spend an estimated $6 billion annually on Halloween.
yeah, that's
$6
what
billion.
My wife contributes greatly to that.
Really?
Well, so
Yeah.
does mine, and it's my favorite. It's
it-
my favorite holiday.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the second largest, so I'm sure Christmas is
yeah.
number one because I'm
Yeah.
already seeing Christmas ads and
I
we're
mean,
not even
Christmas
to
can
Halloween
take a step back because, like, Halloween needs its time. She is right here. She is glowing. She is fabulous. Like, let her have her spotlight.
Who are we talking about? You?
Halloween.
Oh, I thought you were talking about yourself
No,
there.
we're talking about Halloween. She's a female, obviously, because she's so fabulous.
You think so? Huh?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right.
Well, I think that takes us up to our commercial break.
Have we talked? How long have we been talking already?
We have been talking for 29 minutes.
You know, we were talking about costumes, and I think it would be kind of neat. We talked about certain things. It'd be kind of neat to see if you guys have pictures of the costumes you might be wearing this
Oh my
Halloween.
gosh. That
send
would be
some of those
so
in.
great.
Oh, for everyone, our
Yeah,
listeners?
our listeners, yeah,
definitely.
send in pictures
Send
of-
pictures of your Halloween costume. We'd love to put them up there, and we'll put them on our next podcast. Put them on the video right there so you can see them yourself.
In my keepsake box that I have, I actually have two little. They're almost like little beer steins that I got for when I was like 4 and 5 for winning costume contests. It's pretty neat. I wish I had pictures.
What
of
were
that.
you wearing then?
I had one of them. I was completely wrapped in tinfoil like an alien. And then
Imagine
I
that.
was
It started that early.
exactly. And then I was Dracula one year.
You didn't have the antennas, did you?
I did have little dingaball antennas.
Oh boy.
If anybody wants to win a costume contest, just let him help you. Because I won a costume contest that year.
Wow.
Okay,
Oh,
so
you're going
I
on
went-
this. Okay. All
No,
right.
it was great. So I went as this little like puppet doll, and he created this entire costume for me. Like, had these little things that you would hold to control the arms and legs, and like glued them to my costume. It was so
Like
cool.
a marionette.
Yeah,
Marionette.
I made her a marionette. I sure did.
That's pretty neat.
It was. She had this nice.
And I spent 3 hours doing the makeup, so it's whatever.
Yeah, I had it to where I did hot glue like wires that go down and made the.
Probably
little-
have a picture
If,
somewhere.
You probably do have the picture because when we
Let's
were
see.
moving and everything, actually, it was still in the back room, so
Yeah.
it's somewhere. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
I'm only gonna say this as you hit the button for the commercial break.
Uh-huh.
But if The Walking Dead had premiered about a month
Oh my God,
earlier,
stop.
I'm
Oh,
sure we
Lord.
would have some great Glenn costumes for this Halloween.
Oh, I bet we would, Glenn. Yeah, yeah. Walking Dead.
I don't want to get us started on that.
No, if we started talking about The Walking Dead, everyone's going to start listening to our show again, and that's all we're going to talk about is The Walking Dead. Because,
And then I'm not going to be here because I don't watch it, so I'm not.
And
gonna
I
be
don't
able
either,
to-
so-
both of you are missing out.
If you
on
ever,
a
I never
great,
watched it till
great
last
show.
year, and if you ever watched,
Last year was the first year you watched it.
yeah, when I went,
Did you go back and watch the whole thing?
When I went, to, yeah,
Sorry.
my wife and I watched all seasons in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Weren't we taking a commercial break?
Yeah, we're taking a commercial break. All right, so here's our commercial break.
You're listening to Military Paranormal Investigations Radio, MPIR.
Do you have what it takes to be a paranormal investigator? Or would you like to be part of a new online research team? Military Paranormal Investigations has openings in both areas. There are no requirements for experience, equipment, or even an advanced understanding of the paranormal, just a desire for the truth. MPI membership acceptance is primarily based on character and level of commitment to the organization. MPI is looking for dedicated individuals with certain personalities that are willing to investigate the paranormal with an open mind. We are not an outlet to investigate or experience the paranormal through the thrill of a ghost hunt. If you are truly interested in learning the ways to research and explain the paranormal with a professional team, then Military Paranormal Investigations is for you. MPI personnel use their individual experiences and knowledge from different backgrounds to help explain possible reasons for any claimed paranormal activity. We are skeptics dedicated to finding facts by eliminating or revealing any possible scientific explanations for such phenomena. For more information or to apply for membership, visit www.militaryparanormal.com or email us at contact.us@mpi-paranormal.com. The truth is to be found.
Not available in all areas. For safety reasons, all applicants must be 16 years old. Paranormal study may cause heart attacks, scared to death, or hospital possession, demonic or other. MPI is not responsible for any injuries or discomfort caused by anything paranormal in Oregon. Brought to you by Military Paranormal Investigations. No affiliation to any branch of the military.
Broadcasting live from a secret location buried deep below the earth. You're about to make a connection to the signs of the times. Live on the air, right now. Don't be a stranger.
You're listening to the podcast of MPIR, Military Paranormal Investigations Radio.
And welcome back to Military Paranormal Investigations Radio. My name is Rob.
I'm Jeff.
Mike.
And I'm Destiny.
And before our commercial break, we were talking about the history of All Hallows Eve and how it was created from the Celts on up to bringing it to America. Pretty interesting stuff. I thought it was cool. And on our break, Destiny, you actually said that you found something kind of like dealing with a Halloween topic, right?
Yeah, so I found this thing, and there was a lot of different ones on there, but I thought this was the coolest one. So basically, it's the origin of jack-o'-lanterns. So originally they were in Ireland, and so there was this guy named Stingy Jack. He used to trap the devil in some enclosement.
A pumpkin or
No, they used turnips. But it doesn't say that he trapped him in a turnip. It just says that he
Okay.
trapped him.
All right, cool.
So he would trap the devil every year, and right before Halloween, he would make an agreement with him. He would say, okay, I'll let you out for Halloween. However, you cannot let me go to hell when I die. And the devil would say, yeah, obviously, like, I'm going to make that deal.
Right.
And then he would get out. But then Jack would be like, nah, girl, I caught you again. And so he'd trap him again, and it would start the cycle all over again.
Don't you love how she tells stories?
Yeah.
It's very animated. So then Jack died. And the devil had promised him that he would not take him to hell. However, heaven did not want him either because he had made so many deals with the devil that they didn't want him up there.
This definitely sounds like a storybook the way she's telling it right now.
Shut
Yeah.
up. So, because heaven didn't want him and he had made an agreement that he would not go to hell, he was trapped in kind of like an in-between, forced to walk the earth forever as a ghost. And the devil, because the devil had Stockholm Syndrome apparently, decided that he was his friend and gave him a lit piece of charcoal that would light his way for the rest of eternity. And Jack put it into his little turnip. Well, they would see Jack walking around in his little ghostly figure, and so people started carving turnips with nasty, mean faces in order to scare away the ghosts that were walking around.
So they did this in turnips. So where'd the pumpkins come from?
It was
heard that.
originally turnips in Ireland, and then I'm assuming when it became more mainstream and
So when-
westernized.
Probably
So when
it
all
was
the
pumpkins.
Irish came,
Yeah.
when you were talking about all the Irish came because of the potato thing, because they ran out of potatoes and
Famine,
and
yeah.
turnips, they came here
And they were like, hey, we got pumpkins.
we got pumpkins
Right,
now. Let's use a
right.
pumpkin. It's a lot bigger,
You
right?
can eat a pumpkin, and you can eat the pumpkin seeds.
And you
That
can
sounds
make
like a
pumpkin
win-win.
pie.
That's an interesting story.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, y'all are welcome.
Well, I know we wanted to continue on with more of the Halloween stuff, and we did the history. I was thinking maybe we could talk about a couple of Halloween traditions that are still out there, like carving of the pumpkins that you were talking about, the jack-o'-lanterns.
I'm
That's
gonna carve
that's
a
one.
pumpkin.
Why not?
I want to.
Well, why don't you? You have a husband now.
Yeah, my husband's stupid. He won't go get a pumpkin.
My wife bought 3 pumpkins. We put them on our front porch, and like, I guess the sun, because it's been like abnormally hot for us.
Yes, it has.
So, like,
I couldn't believe how
the one closest
warm it's been.
to the outside is already like flat. I gotta.
What about the ones that you guys got? I know she had a whole bunch out there.
Yeah, the girls carved them. They're out on the front porch now.
Oh, I didn't even look. look.
I saw this video on Facebook talking about what you can soak pumpkins in to make them last for weeks.
Which is what?
I don't remember. It was like a mixture of stuff.
I know she tells us what this
I'll
is.
find it on
I'm like,
Facebook and
okay,
send y'all the link.
What is it now? Okay, yeah. Got a great tip
Also,
for you.
Wait, here's another great tip. So with Halloween coming around the corner, it's becoming like kind of popular for if you've got gifts or little goodies in your house that are good to hand out to kids who have any sort of allergy, like peanut allergies or chocolate allergies, things like that. You take a pumpkin and you paint it teal. You put it on your front porch. And so when parents with these kids that have these little allergies and can't have all the good candies see that pumpkin, they'll come to your house and be like, hey, my kid has an allergy. And you're like, oh, cool. So I've got all these goodies for them that they don't have to worry about their allergy with.
Where did that one come from?
I don't know. I saw it on Facebook.
I've never heard of that.
That's pretty cool.
It's
That is
become-
pretty cool.
The media has caught the story within the last year, and they're trying to make it like nationwide so that everybody does that because there's tons of kids that have peanut
Oh yeah,
allergies.
yeah,
And
definitely.
they have to throw away all their goodies.
I have
Especially
a kid
those
in my
peanut
scout
ones.
troop that is like deathly allergic to peanuts, and we actually had a little camp out here a while back, and he had a reaction to something else. But anyway, it's I did not realize how harrowing it can be, and I couldn't imagine his parents
Yeah,
having to watch that. So anyway,
Shoot 'em
that's a
with an
pretty good idea. I
EpiPen.
like that.
I do like that idea a lot.
So
That's-
if anybody does that, shoot us a picture of your teal pumpkin too.
oh, there you go. Yeah. Wow, that's pretty interesting.
I am just chock full of information for y'all. You're welcome.
Hey, there you go. Producer information.
Still trying to find this stupid Halloween picture.
And the most common Halloween tradition would be trick or treating, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't actually start off with what we were talking about with the pieces of candy. It actually started off with a soul cake.
Ooh, I'll take some cake.
It's not that type of cake. It's a
Yeah.
pastry, though. It is a pastry.
I'll take a pastry.
Way back during the All Souls Day parades, we were talking about how, didn't have that much food going around. So the people that were poor, that couldn't afford to eat that much, would beg for food, and families would give them these soul cakes. It's like a pastry or some sort. And they would give it to them as long as the person accepting the soul cake would pray for the well-being of their dead relatives that gave them the soul cake. And it was encouraged by the church as well, kind of like leaving wine and food for roaming spirits. Go ahead and give people that don't have the food, give them these soul cakes, and they would do all the praying.
Yeah,
that way they wouldn't.
The tradition from being about evil things.
Exactly, evil spirits and stuff. And they kind of called it going a-souling. That's what they called it back then. It was basically you go visit a house, a home or something, and you were given ale or food, or even sometimes you were given money, which is why the church really was trying to give that, because I think the church wanted to keep all the wine for themselves. I know I would.
But the question I have is, I wonder, if they had vandalism type stuff. We have kids today that go around and bust pumpkins up. And
Yeah.
I wonder if they had that back in
All Souls Day?
I don't know. I think that we as society has gone to heck, and I don't think that stuff like that was as prevalent.
Well, I don't think it was probably like it is today. I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure they had their little stuff that they did.
Oh,
pranks
yeah.
and-
Yeah, I'm sure, because from what Des was talking about, they lived off the land back then.
Right.
So, I mean, we live off the land too, but not as much. I mean, everything for them was, you're going to do this by yourself with your own two hands, and if you want to eat, you're going to plant it, you're going to grow it, you're going to harvest it.
Which is why I would die, because I can't keep anything alive.
It was different back then, though, too.
Yeah, you had to learn how to do that stuff.
Fun fact about cropping, that's probably not the right term.
Probably not.
Farming. So, every few seasons, these farmers would light their entire fields on fire, and basically they would get out all of the old crops with the new season coming in. You know why, though?
It enriches the soil.
How does it enrich the soil?
With the ash?
The carbon.
No?
With the nitrogen.
Nitrogen.
It puts nitrogen back in the soil, which then feeds the new crops, which then makes them bigger and more plentiful.
Interesting.
Like she said, fun fact.
Anybody can, if y'all know my 6th grade geography teacher, y'all can thank her.
Well, who was it?
Miss Cooper.
Oh, Miss Cooper. Okay.
Yeah. I think she quit because she hated us. True story.
Well, wasn't another Halloween tradition actually dressing up in costumes?
Well, yeah.
We talked about the animal skins and heads, but it actually began, hundreds of years ago, whenever it was supplies were low and everybody was afraid of the dark.
Same.
She's afraid of the dark, yet we do paranormal investigating in the dark.
We talked about the veil being thinner, but they believe
Right.
the ghost came back. So to avoid being recognized by the ghost, they would dress up and wear masks, and if they left their home after dark, so that the ghost wouldn't mistake them for other spirits.
Right, and that's where I was talking about. They would place food and stuff down there for the spirits,
right?
To kind of appease the ghost. To don't
Sure.
trick my house, don't do anything,
Right.
don't enter my house. You stay outside here, eat this bowl of rice, okay?
So it was kind of like in the Bible when they painted blood on their door. I mean, same kind of theory.
Yeah,
They're putting things out in order to keep things out of their home.
yeah, I can see that one. Yeah, kind of the same thing. And then we have the superstitions, right? All Halloween superstitions.
Yeah, lots of them.
Most famous one, black cats.
So I did the research on that.
I asked
It is so boring, let me tell you.
Because I saw the same thing. One of the things was, you don't cross a black cat's path, and I was like, why not? Why not? I do it. I don't have a problem with it. Why not? So I asked Des, hey, why don't they do that? So
let me tell you all about how this is just about religion. Like, literally, it's about religion. That's why. So basically, cats were worshipped in Egyptian culture. So then Christians already did not believe that that was okay because they didn't think that you should worship anything but their God. Okay, that's their religion. So
Gods.
Christians have
I
one
thought
God.
you were talking about the Egyptians.
No. Christians believed that you should not worship anything except for their God.
Oh, okay.
It was a sin against their God to be worshiping anything else. So they
and because the Egyptians were worshiping cats.
they were already kind of like, I'm not sure about that. So then these cats are considered to be really stealthy, and since they were associated with that kind of a worshiping culture, they were like one of those things that's very elusive that they didn't know much about, so obviously they were scared about it. So now, during the Salem witch trials, from what I understand, that's when this started. Basically, witches in quotation marks, were typically women who lived alone, and little cat ladies, they had cats.
Kind of like you.
I have one cat, and he's fabulous, okay? So they had cats to keep them company. Well, they already saw cats as being, like, kind of iffy. Then they have these witches who they're already terrified of because they may put a spell on them or something. Now they're associating them with each other. And then rumors started saying that these cats were actually somehow spiritually connected to these witches.
They believe that witches turned into cats.
Oh, that they could transform
So
into...
that's one belief, but then the other belief was that the witches would feed off of the spiritualness of the cat. So if you crossed the path of the cat was basically taking some of your spirituality and then feeding it to the witch.
Okay.
Which then further fueled their power and then could make them hurt you or put a hoax on you or whatever. That was, yeah,
Sorry.
all about
That was
religion.
my fault.
Well, that was pretty interesting. What are some other superstitions that we know about?
Well, I mean, I've always heard don't walk under a ladder, don't step on cracks. Well,
Right.
these aren't really Halloween. So,
They were all tied into that.
Well, I think the whole one "don't step on the cracks" was actually tied into a Halloween superstition.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't spill the salt or something.
yeah, what does that one have to do with?
I don't know. I just
Hold on.
I
I'm going back to this page because all of that was on there.
Oh, so you know everything. Oh, you've done all that research.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just didn't have time to write it all down. I had too many clients today 'cause I have a job.
We were talking about obsolete. Did I?
Obsolete
superstitions.
Superstitions. Yeah, some superstitions that are obsolete. We got what?
That was the hazelnut thing we were talking about before this.
Oh
show.
yeah, the hazelnut that we were talking about. There's a bunch back then for Halloween. They were trying to marry off all the young women. They really were. Apparently, they couldn't find anyone. Apparently, they had more women than they did men back then. Is from what I'm getting
Well,
from
I
all
mean,
these
that makes
superstitions.
sense because men died at a younger age. They were all doing physical labor every day. I mean, they died of exhaustion all the time, which means
War.
And war, yeah, war, famine, exhaustion, because they were always feeding their women and children first. So it makes sense there would be more women.
Yeah, and they wanted to marry the young women off by next Halloween because
Then the harvest and everything would count towards their family. So yeah, I guess.
That would make sense too if they're marrying them off right before the cold time, because didn't they like marry off women for different things like animals or money?
Yes, definitely.
What did they call it? A dowry?
dowry.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're getting this huge dowry for their daughters, marrying them off right before the time when it's about to be like really cold and possibly death, and they could use that dowry to help the rest of their family survive. I mean, it makes sense.
They would name a hazelnut for each of her suitors, of
Right.
the young girl's suitors, and then toss them into the fireplace. The nuts that burned to ashes rather than popping or exploded represented the girl's future husband.
And I know in Ireland, they had a matchmaker cook, is what they called him, that would take a ring and bury it in
Mashed potatoes.
bury it in her mashed potatoes and everything. So much took about, yeah,
I want mashed
Wow.
potatoes. I'm
Hoping
so
to bring
hungry.
true love to the diner who found it.
yeah. And I
I'm
know.
glad that one went away.
Yep. And then another one is where they ate a sugary concoction of walnuts, hazelnuts, nutmeg before bed on Halloween night, and then she would dream about her future husband.
Or get food poisoning.
Yeah, that one too, from all that stuff, huh? And then the other one was tossing the apple peels over their shoulders, hoping that the peels would fall on the floor in the shape of their future husband's initials.
That seems like a long shot.
Well, you never know, because remember, that's the whole thing with the apple, way back to the goddess of fruit and trees. That was her
She was actually the goddess of agriculture and harvesting was what the direct translation was. I saw that somewhere earlier.
Oh, okay.
Another one I found interesting is they tried to learn about their futures by peering at egg yolks floating in a bowl of water.
I've
An
seen
egg.
that.
You've seen that?
No, I've seen that somewhere before, and I cannot
Oh,
remember
okay.
where.
I was about to say, you've actually seen that? Is that how you got Eric?
Girl, please.
And then another one is they stood in front of mirrors in darkened rooms, holding candles, looked over their shoulders for their husbands' faces.
Oh my God,
Kind
I
of like,
read
so
about
they
that
were
in a
looking
book.
over their shoulder with the candle in the background, and it would look, their face would look like,
See if they could see their husbands' faces. In
It's
the
almost
mirror.
kind of like a psychomantium or something.
Yeah.
But instead of seeing the dead, you're seeing your future.
So I read a book once, and in this book,
Just
they
one
were.
time.
I mean, I read tons of books, but this one book I only read once. So in this book, one of the main characters was a descendant of a druid, and so she finds out about her lineage, and she's like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna do all this stuff," because like at first she didn't really believe, and she was kind of joking about it, but then she was like, "Maybe it's real." So they did that little ceremony, like what he was talking about, and it was so crazy to have them describe it in that book.
where'd you read that book? Do you have that book? Or
You want to really know? It's a fiction, like it's not true.
Oh,
It's like a romance book, but that was part of it.
okay, then no, I don't need
It was the Vampire Diaries, if you want to know.
Okay.
So different than a TV show, by the way.
I'm sure it was. Another one that everyone loved to watch, Vampire Diaries.
That TV show was good, but like not good as a representation of those books.
Mike is looking like, what? What are you talking
You know,
about?
I've got a question for you guys. It's something that's I kind of think I know the answer, but I want to get your guys' take on it. It always seems like Halloween is a time where we as paranormal investigators always get a lot more calls, emails, cases. Why do you think that is? Is it just the holiday?
I think ultimately it's the power of suggestion.
Okay.
Yes.
I wonder if it doesn't have to do with, I mean, in energy, thought forms, energy and all the thoughts of the people thinking
Well-
about all of these.
You could say that as well, but since doing the research, this time frame is supposed to be where the veil is thinnest and the dead is crossing over to the land of the living. So why wouldn't people, if that is the case, why wouldn't we get more paranormal cases? I mean, we got one coming up this weekend, and then we got a potential for 5 more. And then you just got another one today that you...
Yeah.
So, I mean, more people possibly could be because this time of the year is dealing with the dead.
You are correct. I mean, the tradition, and that's I always tell people this. The tradition started somewhere.
Right. Well, now we know where it started.
But, you know, and I tend to agree with you guys as well, but I'll give you one of my actual thoughts on this is I think it's because Halloween, we always flood our TVs and all of that with the Halloween
Mike
movie.
Myers, Jason.
You know, Friday the 13th, all these scary movies about ghosts and all these things. So I think because of that, it makes people think more about it. And
Well, yeah.
That was my thought. Was it's just a massive energy
yeah,
in society because it's all this is in the atmosphere, and then people are already automatically ready to be more creeped out because it's already been thinking about it. They've already seen a
Right.
scary movie. They're already jumpy. They're already
Right.
And see, that's the thing about Halloween now. Halloween now is more towards the scariness, and
horror.
the
Right.
horror,
Right. Mhm.
which is what they were trying to get rid of way back when in the 50s. But it seems like with
Circle of
today's
life.
society, exactly the circle of life. Yeah, it just keeps going around and around.
Obviously, we didn't learn the first time.
yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people like horror stuff.
I think that's a very good point, though. Again, Rob, that the tradition started 2,000 years ago because people believed that the veil was thinner. So was back then they weren't watching.
Yeah,
Friday-
Right.
Man, goodness, they weren't watching Friday the 13th or those things.
Yeah.
They had something else that made them think that. So
All the death. Because of the cold. They couldn't keep warm, so the cold...
they were anticipating
Yes.
the same thing that we're
There you
happening
go.
to us now.
There you
So-
go.
Yeah.
So we're anticipating the
Full
horrorness right now
Of Halloween.
Halloween because of mainstream has done with television and
Right.
and newspapers and horror flicks and the movies. And so, yeah, like she said, the circle of life. Back then it was because of the death that was coming because of the cold, harsh winters. And now it's because of the mainstream. Hollywood, yeah. That's pretty cool.
So yeah, I think it's ultimately a thought form.
So yeah, to answer your question, Jeff, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I found that website that has the origins of all the Halloween traditions.
Mm-hmm. What'd you find?
So
And what was the website?
it is mentalfloss.com.
Okay. Mental floss?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You floss your teeth.
Okay. I was just wondering. I was
actually
wondering what it
got
had
a
to do
lot
with
of-
Halloween, but okay.
They have like top 10 lists and
Yeah, they have
okay.
all kinds of stuff on there. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So what you got?
So, I mean, what do you want to know about? We already read about jack-o'-lanterns.
Okay.
We've got ghosts, which we kind of already talked about
well, the
because
orange
it's
and black. I saw that.
Talk
orange
about what?
and black.
Orange and black?
Yeah, black and orange.
Okay, so
Kind
there's
of like those favorite candies, the orange and the black one? Those
What?
peanut butter ones?
Just the colors of Halloween.
Yeah.
He's just talking about this donut we saw today on the Dunkin' Donuts.
No, I'm talking about those
Billboard.
actually peanut butter candies that are in the strict black and orange wrappers.
Yeah.
I love those things. Those are my
Reese's?
favorite.
I can't stand
No.
those things.
Really?
I don't
Those
know
are
what
my
it is.
all-time favorite.
What are you talking about?
Candy.
Oh yeah.
You get, in
Yeah.
Halloween, you get the
It's
big
like a
bags of candy.
taffy.
and
Yeah,
they're
like a
round.
taffy.
Taffy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it.
Girl,
Yeah.
I got braces. I can't eat taffy.
It's like a caramel.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so the origin of black and orange associated with Halloween is that the classic Halloween colors can also be traced their origins back to the Celtic festival.
Still.
Black represented the death of summer, while orange is representative of the autumn harvest season.
Oh. Well, see, there's a new thing that had no clue, so... Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay, I wanted to read about the candy apples, though.
The
You just
candy
passed it.
apples.
Oh,
No, it's right here. So, candy apples, like,
Caramel apples.
Yeah.
well, candy apples, they dip them in all kinds of stuff. People dip them in, like, chocolate.
And they take onions and dip them in the caramel and stick
Oh
them
my
on the
god,
stick.
stop.
You seen that stuff on Facebook and Pinterest?
That's awful.
Not at all.
So, candy apples, it says that people have been coating fruit in sugar syrups as a means of preservation for centuries. Since the development of the Roman festival of how are we saying that? Pomona?
Pomona.
Okay. The goddess, she often was represented by things like apples. The fruit has since been placed in the harvest celebrations, but the first mention of candy apples being given out in Halloween didn't occur until the 1950s.
Right. That's because when we were talking about how the communities and everything would get together, and that was the cheap way that they could do it. And who'd you see?
Maddie.
We're still trying to get Maddie in here on these.
She's got homework to do. Leave her alone.
But yeah, like we were talking about how they would give out little treats and everything. That way,
I think it's funny that 2,000 years ago, they would coat the fruits and vegetables with the
Sugar
sugary
syrup.
coating, the
Yeah.
candy coating, but we didn't start doing that until 1950.
Well, it was saying like they did that because that's how they preserved them, kind of like canning.
okay.
That's what they used it as. So it was always there, but then we kind of took it
Right.
a step further and like injected diabetes into it, and then gave it to our children because that sounded like a good idea.
She doesn't have an opinion at all, does she?
I have tons of opinions. That's the problem. I don't know why y'all invited me on the show.
A little extra flair. There you go.
Okay, you want to know how bats became associated with Halloween?
Yeah.
Okay. So, bats basically...
Yeah, for those of you that can see the video, yeah, I'm over here. You're like, really, Miss Know-It-All over here.
I'm reading this off the internet. I don't know any of this. Basically, when the Samhain festivals became about, the Celtics would light these huge bonfires, and these bonfires, because they're like these huge lights, would attract all these insects. So all these insects are gathered in this one place, and they're obviously having these festivals at night, so that attracted bats. So
The
then
bonfire.
bats became associated with the festival. And then medieval folklore expanded upon the spooky concoction of bats with a number of superstitions built around the idea that bats were the bringers of death. They kinda,
So
took it
the
a step further.
bonfires that they built, the priest the druids would bring all the insects, and then the bats would come.
So they kind of just saw it as, oh yeah, bats are kind of like part of our festival. So I'm sure they probably documented it in some way, talked about it, passed it down, and then somewhere along the line it got taken hold of and changed.
So the candy from Halloween came from soul cakes from the All Saints. The costumes that we wear came from animal heads and everything, from dressing up as costumes and devils and stuff. And then bats came from the bonfires from back then, from the Festival of the Samhain. Everything's coming from that festival.
You know where candy corn started? That's the last one on the list.
Sure, why not? Where did candy corn start?
I cannot stand candy corn.
I love those things, man.
It's nasty. I agree, Mike.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's horrible.
Yes, I love candy corn. Love it. Really? Oh, he's doing fine. He seems to be doing all right now. You doing all right?
I'm doing good.
Good. That was Melissa, by the way.
That's my wife.
At least his stomach isn't growling. That's
No, that's going to happen Saturday night.
Saturday night. We've already talked about that too in the show. So there.
Everybody bring all the snacks.
Yeah, that's right.
Cherry sours.
So where did candy corn come from?
Candy corn. Okay. So, according to most stories, a candy maker at the Wonderly Candy Company in Philadelphia invented the revolutionary tri-colored candy in the 1880s. The treats didn't become a widespread phenomenon until another company bought the candy in the masses in 1898. At the time, candy corn was called chicken feed and sold as boxes that read, "Something worth crowing for." That sounds terrible.
It was sold as chicken feed?
Chicken feed.
No, that was like the name of the candy. It was called chicken feed.
Yeah, that was
So candy corn was
like
called...
Snickers. It was called chicken feed.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, it makes sense because you feed chicken corn little scratchings.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Why I still don't like it.
So originally, generically, the autumn-colored candy, because of corn's association with harvest time, candy corn became Halloween specific when trick-or-treating rose its height in the 1950s.
You know, I want to ask you guys a question real quick. Looking back over our obsolete rituals,
Right.
okay, that focused on the future. The question that I have is some of these things. You know, we had the Salem witch trials and all of that. It made me wonder, why was it okay for them to like look at egg yolks and not be seen as witches, or looking in the mirror? I mean,
Or maybe they were. I mean, maybe that was a witch thing.
Well, and maybe those particular rituals weren't necessarily focused around.
Well, how is it not?
Well, that's
it's
what-
like
yeah,
a magic.
exactly.
It's like a magic thing. How are you going to find your husband? You look
Well-
into a mirror, or you look into a yolk. How is that not some sort
I
of
got
witchcraft?
You, but it also, and I did also read that it was mostly practiced from like Boston down. It wasn't up in the colonies.
Yeah, the colonies.
It wasn't up in like above it, like in Salem and those
Okay,
areas.
I see what you're talking about now.
Up there, it was a little more, way more Protestant, and it was way more strict religion. And as the further south you went, it was a little more relaxed. So most of Halloween wasn't up in.
So like,
that area.
Okay.
so like you were talking about up north in Salem and stuff. They didn't
I
practice.
guess I
stuff
have
there.
no idea where Salem is in relation to Boston, but anyway,
Okay.
Also, it could be like it was one of those things that
I'm
girls.
a Southern boy.
I like the warmth.
I got you. Here we go, Texas.
Oh my God! Stop.
okay,
Whataburger's
let's
gonna sue us now.
proceed on here.
So, I mean, what I was saying is, it could basically be like one of those things that girls do, like when they have sleepovers. You know, they lock yourself in the room and they like do all the stupid stuff that like their parents would be like, "Why are you doing that?" Like when I was a kid, we used to go in the bathroom and you'd like call for Bloody Mary, like that was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't go out and be like, "Hey, Mom, I just went to the bathroom and called for Bloody Mary in the mirror." You know, it's not something you would admit to anybody else.
Well, how do you know that Bloody Mary didn't start off with what we were talking about?
I mean, I hope she's not real because like she's gunning for me. I called her too many times. She was like, "Girl, I'm sleeping," and then she's gonna come find me.
Maybe it was like what's that TV show with Dean and
Supernatural.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
To have the Bloody Mary thing. Maybe it wasn't necessarily happening to you. It was happening to somebody you know.
Like, for whoever that happened to.
But on that note, Jeff, they had these things that like you talk about gazing into, but then, like she said, the teenage girls a lot of times were the ones that were considered the witches because they were doing those types of things, and then
Right.
people saw them.
Yeah.
So maybe that
Okay.
bolstered the witch.
Maybe that's why they were trying so hard to marry off their teenage daughters. Everybody thought they were witches. They needed to get them out of the house before people were like, oh, she might be a witch.
I have no idea.
Never knew.
I have no idea.
So, what do you think about the history of Halloween now? Now that you know about it.
It's interesting. I mean, you know, the normal person just thinks about trick or treating, the candy, the costumes.
Yeah.
But
scary
how
movies.
how it actually came about, it adds
Has
a new
nothing
light
to
to
do
it.
with that. Yeah. It's,
That had nothing to do with that at all. That's
Right.
why when I was reading this, I was like, really? Okay. Because I was expecting.
I will tell you this because my mom and I used to argue because she would, you know, she would talk about how Halloween was evil based.
Right.
And I would always say, no, I believe it was based off of these things, but it was still a little more pagan than I thought, which it wasn't a bad thing. It was just, it still had to do with those types of
beliefs.
yes, those types of beliefs, which was a little more than I thought. I thought it was a little more benign than that.
Yeah, because like you were saying, Jeff, I had no clue that it had all this in the background because I'm used to the candy.
I had heard,
Right.
I had heard the, of course, why you dress up was to fool the ghost, and I had heard the turnip story.
Say, I never heard the turnip story before. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
For me, I grew up in a very conservative Christian household.
Yeah.
Not with you. It was hard. So growing up, like, yeah, I wanted to go out and dress up and have fun on trick-or-treating on Halloween, but at the same time, I was then like turned around and told, well, Halloween's really bad. Like, you're basically celebrating the devil.
Yeah.
And in my
that's what
little
my mom
Yeah,
thought, too.
exactly.
yeah, it was terrible. My little 6-year-old brain was like, but I just want this candy. And then I was crying because I thought I was celebrating the devil. And then I felt terrible. It was so conflicting. And now looking at the actual history of it makes me want to turn around and be like, why would you do that? Like, obviously you did not know the history behind it when
Exactly.
you started
Yes,
spreading those
exactly.
things.
And that's what my mom's thought was, and I think she's you know, she has read that now, but that's what she thought. You're celebrating devil worship.
Yes.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with devil
Nothing to do with that at all.
I think the problem behind it is like people don't really know the origin of
Right,
Halloween.
exactly.
So they're just automatically saying that's something I don't know. I'm scared of it. I'm going to assume it's bad.
Right.
And so then they tell their children that, and their children's children, and it just goes on and on and on.
I had listened to a podcast, and I think it was either Jim Harold, it might have been Grimerica, but anyway, they were talking about how all these stories come out about clowns and killer clowns and serial killers.
Yes.
And that's like the furthest from the truth. There's actually very few things. There have been things that have happened on Halloween, but were not related
No,
to
it had
anything.
nothing to do
The
with it.
only thing that's ever been done was hoaxes and things
Yes.
that ended up, or people blaming it on Halloween. It had nothing to do with actually anything related to Halloween.
But speaking of killer clowns, if anybody wants to send help to Wichita Falls, there have been killer clowns reported here. They are walking in the road, standing in the McDonald's parking lot, and like, I just want to go and get me some French fries. So if
I
y'all
can
want to
tell
send
you
help,
that-
that's fine.
Here in Texas, especially in the as conservative part of Texas as that we're in, it would be a really bad idea for somebody to pull that trick.
You got that right.
A really bad idea.
I got 3 that I carry always.
It's yeah.
So yeah.
And that's what's going to eventually happen and it's already happened.
Yeah, it's already happened.
But somebody's going to get shot.
Yeah.
Okay, but the person dressed as a clown that did get shot, that was totally unprovoked from what I read. The person was like dressed as a clown, and this person that shot them like got
You're
out of
right.
their car
He
and
actually-
went out of their way
Yes.
to shoot the
yeah,
person.
The person was hoaxing people what I understood, the person was hoaxing people as a clown, and somebody else, Good Samaritan, pulls up and
Like, he
here.
went out of his way and shot
Yeah,
this
took care
person.
of
Though this
business.
person was not being malicious. That's what the news report I read.
But yeah, that's what's going to happen. And I am honestly, and I'm glad we got off on this because I really feel like there's going to be some stupidness on this Halloween because of that. Because we've made it into a hype that it isn't.
Yeah, we sure have.
I say we, I mean, I haven't. I could care less. My brother has one of those killer clown phobias. I mean, like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly could care less about a clown. If somebody, it could be a mask of anybody, and if somebody wants to do something stupid like that, then
Like Jeff's.
yeah. Now that Jeepers Creepers,
That guy right
that's
there.
a
Yeah.
good movie.
Yeah.
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 That's much more scary than a clown to me.
Mm.
Never seen Jeepers Creepers.
Oh, you should watch
You
it.
have never seen it? I think I've got 1 and 2 on DVD
Yeah,
you
and
can
then-
take home.
How,
Can I really? Can I borrow that?
I'll have to see if I can find it. but
how
yeah,
have you not seen that movie yet?
So let me tell you a story
That's
about
one
why I
that-
haven't seen Jeepers Creepers.
That's one of those movies that kept me. I think I was curled up in a pillow. I mean, that's that.
The one that did it for me when I was Children of the Corn.
See, that movie made me sad.
Malachi.
I
No.
felt
that
bad.
yeah. Because
Dude.
you and I are about the same age. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
And then you want to
We're
know
getting
where
so off topic.
It's all right.
we're talking about horror stuff.
It's Halloween.
It's Halloween. Yeah,
It's
we're
not
talking about horror
Halloween
stuff.
yet.
We'll be in a
Almost.
few days.
Yeah.
By the time they hear this,
We're doing a Halloween show, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but this is it.
This is releasing Halloween.
Yeah, this is our show for Halloween.
Also, you're now on the podcast.
yeah. Now you're on the show for Halloween.
See, you need to come into the shot here and get on. You know.
Yeah, because she's deathly afraid of clowns.
Oh,
You
She's
have that
terrified.
phobia too.
And see, isn't that interesting? I mean, clowns are supposed to be so happy.
yes.
You know,
She said
circus
petrified.
and the circus and, stuff.
and,
So how?
You know, they've made them so terrifying now.
You poor
There's
thing.
actually a phobia for that, I believe.
Yeah, there is
it's
now.
a I mean, and
I can't think of the name of it.
I have
but
seen my brother draw back about to knock somebody out before because it's a real phobia too. It's not,
someone ought to look that up and
That's
see
what
what
I'm
the
Of
fear
course
of
she is.
clowns.
If I'm not mistaken, Josh, one of our former members, had a phobia of clowns. He was like,
but that
clowns,
and
no.
see, and that's the thing. And somebody has said it before. Is this whole clown phobia? Is it all hype? You remember that movie that I've never even seen it. That Forgetting Sarah Marshall. But there were billboards all
That's
over
a good
the
movie.
country.
Yeah.
I mean, they put them up everywhere as a hype. So that's what some people are saying. Is this all a hype for the new release of it?
It, yeah.
I was going to say a clown movie that scared me was It.
They're remaking it.
I
That's
know.
that's
Also
why
haven't
all
seen
the.
that.
Yeah.
How have you not seen it?
It-
Stephen King.
It is.
I will tell you, I haven't seen it since
calrophobia.
like
Well, the original one,
Yeah.
yeah. I haven't
Since,
seen
like,
it since.
I was little.
Yeah,
Little bitty.
Yeah.
It's calrophobia.
Okay.
Calverphobia.
Calrophobia.
Oh, calrophobia. Yeah, I don't have that.
I don't even.
Because
So
clowns to me were like you were talking about happy.
Yeah.
Go to the circus. Watch the clowns. They're funny.
I'm not necessarily like terrified of clowns, but like I've never been about clowns. I didn't go to the circus and go talk to the clown.
So
I
yeah,
didn't-
I don't either. I'm the same way. I could care less about clowns.
I mean, it's not that I care. It's they like creep me out, not to the point where I'm gonna like go out of my way to avoid them or like scream and cry when I see them. But at the same time, it's I'm not gonna willingly walk up to a clown and be like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Okay.
All right.
Here, one
Yeah,
one
go ahead,
quick
go
note here. I was thinking about this. The origins of haunted houses
Oh.
date back to the 19th century in London, where a series of illusions and attractions introduced the public to new forms of gruesome entertainment. In 1802, Marie Tussaud, you know Madame Tussaud's
Yeah.
Wax Museum,
Yeah.
scandalized British audiences with an exhibition of wax sculptures of decapitated French figures, including King Louis XVI, Marie Antoinette, Marat, and another gentleman. They said that the likeness were so remarkably accurate, and with good reason, that it caused panic. So they say that is the start of haunted houses.
We do this. We go into
And
dark
that's
places.
from Smithsonian.com.
And I'm not afraid of that. But I went to a haunted house in Waxahachie, however you say that down there.
I don't know.
People, if you get it wrong, they really correct you.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said I don't know.
I went to a
Kinda like
haunted
Bowie?
house down there that scared the bejeegles out of me. I mean, oh boy, was good at what he did in there. It scared me as a grown man.
Huh.
I never would have thought that, but
Yeah, it said when she set up a permanent London exhibition, she dubbed her grotesque collection the Chamber of Horrors, a name that is stuck to the Wax Museum to this day.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's very interesting.
You know
So-
what we should talk about next?
What?
Serial killer James Patrick Marsh. Y'all know who that is?
I do. That's the.
Okay, I'm like, sure, go ahead.
No.
No, I don't mean like in this episode. I mean like we should make an episode out of it because it's a lot of interesting stuff.
What does that have to do with paranormal?
He killed a lot of people in his hotel. Lots of trapped souls in there. I don't
Okay.
know. It's a stretch. It's just cool.
Okay. So, we've talked about Halloween, where it came from, the superstitions, how it came to America, and how we've changed it. I think we need to segue to our close of our show for tonight.
Yeah. I think, as always, we need to get a pop out for another website, network, another paranormal website that I found. It's Hiduth. I guess that's how you say it. Hiduth. You can find them at www.hiduth.com. Pretty much they're just a modern gateway to paranormal and spiritual activity. A bunch of stories, like that one paranormal news site that you found. I was just searching and I saw them down there, and what caught my eye is they gave a story on a bird that someone from Wyoming saw, and then they started talking about it. It was a cryptozoology one where they saw this big massive bird that was kind of like a, what do they call them? Pterodactyls birds. And it just caught my eye, and then I kept reading, and more people all over the place have started seeing this. And so I started reading on this one. Basically, they're just a bunch of collection of stories. And you can find them on Facebook. You can go to, just type in Hiduth, Hiduth, or Twitter, Hiduth Official. They also have a YouTube page of different videos, Hiduth Official page. And then if you want to email them, you can email them at info@hiduth.com. And that's Hiduth. It was pretty interesting. They because where you went for all your paranormal stories, the paranormal news and stuff, it was just a different web page. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Okay.
And I know we said last time we were going to build an EM pump, but yeah, that's not happening. I'm going to have to get to an EM pump eventually and just build one,
But
and kind of show it. Oh, that's kind of loud, huh?
Yeah, we need to do that in a tech corner.
Yeah, I need to put up a tech corner again and get one
And I've
going.
still got the
Y'all
stuff
have
to
fun
build
with
an
that.
ion the ion generator thing.
No, I don't think we've ever done anything with the ion
No, I've
generator.
still got the stuff to build it. I just have never done it.
Oh, you still have
I
it?
bought the kit to build one. I just never done
Why not?
it. Time.
Well, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to our podcast. And as always, if you have any questions, comments about the show, or just anything in general, please make sure you reach out to us on our website at www.militaryparanormal.com.
Again, you can find us on Facebook.
And don't forget about Twitter. We're on Twitter as well. And now that we started having videos up, YouTube. Hopefully more people are going out there. I've seen that our videos are taking off a lot faster than what they did by doing this.
Well, it's because we have more than one image the whole show, which that was actually my fault, but that's all I had. So. But now that we actually can see our ugly mugs again on the camera.
Well, not all of us are ugly.
I was fixing to say, time out here.
Yeah, not all of
I
us
mean,
are ugly.
I
We have-
dyed my
Oh,
hair
I was
today
talking about
just
me.
for this.
We have destiny here. I mean, all of us are old guys. You know,
I
so-
went out and dyed my hair today, so appreciate it. Even though in this camera it looks brown, which is so depressing because it's bright red.
I haven't seen the YouTube video from last week that you guys did. I listened to the podcast,
Dude,
but what I liked what you did with the first one, where you had the links up and the other videos. That was pretty neat. How
I did some links up on this one. I think with the last one, I did something a little bit more with the commercials. I put links up again on this one, and I'll put links up on this one. All the links that we found. So send me all the links that you found, all your information. I'll put it up on these websites, and I'll probably go ahead and do a couple videos as well. because I know pretty soon we're going to start experimenting with our podcast a little bit more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We're not going to go into what we're doing, but we're just going to experiment a little more with it.
Okay.
Don't forget that if you have a story you want to tell or want to share or don't mind being shared, make sure you contact us. I really look forward to hearing other people's stories and just give us a shout.
Yep. And don't forget about the pictures. If you got a picture for Halloween, go ahead and pop it down here and we'll put it on one of our podcasts.
Address them all to me, and I will look at all of them and appreciate them, I promise.
And I would like to say before we go, I hope each and every one of you have a very happy, safe Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
If you have kids out there, make sure you stay with them.
Be safe.
And be safe.
Good night.
Good night. Everyone have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.